let's see if I got Brother Sylvester and see if we can bring him right in. Hopefully we do. Do I hear any noise? Make some noise.
Hey,
Oh,
can everybody hear me?
huh? Yes,
Can you
come
hear me?
on.
Oh,
I got you
good.
now. Very
Great.
good. Very good. Now, I'm going to turn it over to you for a minute because I've been blah, 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 blah going on, but we got you and I'm glad to hear you. So uh,
So I was,
I give it
I was saying,
right back to my brother right here, Sylvester. Talk for a minute so I can stop talking. They're tired of hearing
so,
my voice.
I was telling you earlier, saying that you didn't know if you had anything to do with where I am today. You had a lot. You contributed a lot to me and my wife's lives, my whole entire family, especially my family that's on that's tuning in today. But major impact for where we've been, and I was talking to Bishop earlier, and I was sharing him some scriptures he had given out earlier um, when I first started going to the church and throughout my time at the church. And I don't know if he was surprised that I was listening or I'm just joking, but but, he's contributed a lot to our lives, and and hopefully tonight I can share with you some things that he has taught me and my family and principles we live by to this day. So we just want to thank you for allowing me to be on the show, Bishop, and share my testimony and things to do for people coming out of COVID, because it's been a tough time. It's
Well,
been a very
Brother
tough time.
Sylvester, um, yeah, I know you used to sit out there with your mom, sit right out there with your sisters and everything. And you said didn't know if you were paying attention, but I know from what has happened in your life and how you've come back that some of it was getting in. It was getting in there, getting and you've used it. Um, Minister Ella is suggesting if you can, if you have a way to turn up your volume a little bit more, if you can. Be, we don't want to mess it up, but just make sure you get that volume up a little bit more as
Yeah,
you're talking. Okay.
I'm used to talking slow, but I'll talk louder.
Yeah. Well, now that is right,
Okay.
y'all. If you know Brother Sylvester, he does not have one of those beaming, loud, boisterous voices like your bishop does. He's always kind of mild mannered. I don't think I've ever really seen him get upset. He just basically talks real cool like that. So, and Brother Sylvester, please know that your microphone, try not to shake it too much because it's going.
All right.
Okay, now
Okay.
it's right back to you. Um, I think maybe we got a little bit better. How is that? Sylvester, go ahead talking you.
Is that better for everyone?
Well, you're still talking soft.
Okay.
Act like a preacher, brother. You got the word. Just talk here. Give it to and everybody else. Turn up your volume too, so you can hear Brother Sylvester, and I'll turn down my volume. All right.
Let me see if this
So
works too. I got a lapel mic. Let me see.
you got a lapel
Bishop.
mic.
Hello.
Yes.
Okay. Like
There.
I can't hear.
Okay. You put that mic
All right.
back on you,
So
bro.
so okay. Let
Put
me
the
play
mic.
around with something else because I can't hear you now. Hang on.
Oh,
Hang on 1 second, Bishop.
well, so to you all, and it's gonna be worth it to hear what this brother's got to say. So just hang on in there.
Hello.
He's working. Yep, I'm getting you, and you're not hearing me.
Okay.
Okay,
So I can't hear now.
you're good. You're good now. Let's see if we got you. Okay, and you see
So
he's quiet too. A man of a few words.
hello.
All
Yep.
right, Brother Sylvester, are you hearing
Hello.
me right now?
Okay.
Yes, you got
Yep.
me
I hear you. You okay. Yep. Yep. Yep.
now.
I got
All
you.
right.
I got you.
Let's
Okay.
talk, Brother
Great.
Sylvester, for a minute. Let's try to get right on into it. We are
Okay.
coming out of COVID. COVID has affected the environment, and a lot of people are uh, uh, questioning where we're getting ready to go and what's fixing to happen. Some people are sitting at home because they're getting their stimulus checks. That's going to
Right.
affect
Right.
the marketplace. Let me hear from your professional opinion as a CPA, finance person, um,
Right.
what the economy is looking like. And then I want to discuss that so as for behalf of the congregation as to what they might need to do to position themselves at this time.
Right.
Just a
Right.
discussion of where we are.
Yeah. So one of the issues is that nobody's working. Everybody's at home, and some of the jobs that some of the people might have working at not low paying jobs, but jobs working at Walmart, working at the grocery store, working at different places. People are making more sitting at home than they are actually going to work. And so what's happening is there's a shortage in the labor market. There's a shortage in the labor market all over throughout the United States. It's happening everywhere. It's happening in Denver. It's happening in Birmingham. It's happening everywhere. But one of the things that probably going to happen, I know Governor Ivory did this maybe about a week ago, where she took away the unemployment benefits so people can start getting back to work. And there's been talk about people or the president maybe implementing something where people are heading back to work, or different governors are doing it on their own. So that's one of the issues that we're having. Another one of the issues that we're having is this inflation. And for people that don't know, a simple definition of inflation is basically, when you went to buy, you hear old people talk about buying bread at 5 cents a loaf, and now it's $3 a loaf. Well, that's inflation. So if you're keeping your money in the bank and you have $1,000 is not worth $1,000 what it was worth yesterday, because everything's going up. And then and you're adding compounding to that problem with things like the Colonial Pipeline, where gas is going up. So we're in a I guess an environment or an era where things are changing rapidly. But that's where we are. And some of the things, there's a lot of things you can do to hedge against inflation, or hedge against different things that are going on in society right now. One of the things is, if you don't mind me going into this, Bishop, I'm going to talk a little louder because I'm getting different technical difficulties with the headphones. But one of the things that we can do is some simple tips. Right now, everybody's talking
And
about
stay under
the
stay
housing
under
market.
that mic, Rick. If you would, stay under the mic
Yes,
so your
sir.
volume will go down there. And
So
remember,
the best,
just speak up. I know it's not your nature to do it. You're calm, but it's the mic's fault. It's not you. The mic now. Just okay. So come on now. You want to speak on it? Go ahead and do it.
yeah. So one of the best things is, I'm gonna give you a couple of tips. I've got them right now, but a house, a mortgage, a long-term mortgage. Right now, money is so cheap that your money is going to grow at the rate of inflation, or higher than inflation. So you might buy a house that's worth about $200,000 a day, and then 30 years from now it's worth 300,000. So, but just think about the return on that particular investment. That's one of the things you can do. The other thing is people right now, it's not a great time to get into the stocks, but from a long-term perspective, some of your larger stocks, like or your more successful stocks, or your more successful companies like Walmart, Amazon, those are the long-term plays you want to get into so far as your being in the stock market right now. I know Bishop is always talking about gold, so gold is one of the safe havens. Always during an inflation crisis, gold is always a great safe haven, and you don't have to borrow gold, but you can buy EFTs through different markets, through different exchanges, to purchase some of those so you can hedge against inflation. The other thing too is the things to try to avoid is like long-term bonds, CDs, because the rate of inflation is probably going to go up more than your CDs or your long-term bonds. But those are the things that you need to avoid, and some of the things you can hedge against during this particular time, during your this COVID crisis, or coming out of the COVID crisis.
I've
Because
come back
we're
because I
headed
want to ask you to deal with this issue on inflation. And once again, wherever that mic is, it's something bumping against it.
okay.
So
All right.
when we talk about inflation, yeah, there are those that can remember. I can remember maybe 10, 15-cent bread when I
Right.
was coming up. And I like to say to people to understand that the government has really fooled you. You think you get more money, but what's
Yeah.
happening is you're getting less money, because when bread used to cost 15 cents, I don't know what it is now, a loaf, but that's the value of your dollar that has gone down. And so you're talking about making investments, Brother Sylvester, in, I guess, things that have a greater appreciation, such as you said, mention a few of those. Mhm.
Companies right now, you don't want to take a chance on anything that's risky out there, but some of the solid companies that's been around for a while, like a Walmart or Amazon, things that that those companies aren't going away overnight. Those companies are going to be there, and they've been outperforming the market for a while. And then everybody needs food, they need gas, they need, they don't really need clothes, but they're buying a lot of their products through Amazon or companies like Amazon. So those are the places, the safe havens you want to be in right now. Um, a lot of people, even before the crisis hit, I adjusted my retirement portfolio. I was more on the riskier side. We had an economy at that particular time that lended to being a little bit more risky. So I was in a lot of tech stock. And my portfolio grew. I got in late to the game, but my portfolio grew maybe about 15, 17% over a period of about 4 or 5. So I was very aggressive. And then right at the end of the year, going into January, I changed it over because you can tell the shift in the economy was about to happen. With different policies coming into play. So I mean, it was just a good
Now, what
time
did you
actually to
change it
invest.
to? You said you changed it to
I
something.
changed it to ultra conservative. Everything in my portfolio is
So
real conservative.
you went
Yeah,
from aggressive to ultra
yeah,
conservative. Okay, now,
ultra
okay.
conservative. Yeah, during that time, you got to remember, during that time, you know, um, we were still people still unsure about the pandemic, going into the pandemic. We had a lot of issues going on from the political side, so
Hmm.
things were really unstable. So, and this is what when we were talking about earlier, when I was telling you, make sure you have that relationship with God, hearing from God, you know, and He'll tell you exactly what to do. And at that particular point in time, God was telling me, hey, let's get into a safer portfolio. Let's not lose all of this that you've accumulated, the increase you accumulated. Let's get into a safer portfolio. And so we did it, and we didn't lose any of that increase
Now,
that we
let
experienced.
me ask you, when you speak in terms of a lot of people out there may not be invested, you're talking about the market, the stock market, right? Can you
Well,
just
I'm talking
give,
about my retirement fund and stock market. Yeah. Mhm.
so the retirement fund, which people have been encouraged by other finance, Dr. Brown and Brother Bobby have suggested that you try to set aside something for retirement to anticipate that.
Yep.
But are you doing any current market strategies? Are you purchasing stocks now? And
So
if so, how?
so one of the things I'm into now, I'm purchasing stock, and I don't want to lead anybody into a certain direction.
No,
But
but if you are in the market, how are you getting in the
yeah,
market? I mean, what can we tell our brothers and sisters out here? If you have a company, like you say, if they want to go Walmart, Amazon, where should they make this venture?
right. So the best thing a person can do is, and it really happened when right before COVID. Me and my wife, I wasn't really into it, but me and my wife was like, "Hey, we're going to buy Charles Schwab and set up an account." Literally, we opened it with like maybe $1,500, and we ended up buying airline stock because we just like, okay, COVID's gonna go, be over. Yeah, I wasn't listening to God. This was something Sylvester was trying to do, and
You said
we were
airline
like,
stocks?
yeah, yeah, COVID was gonna be over, and so at a particular point in time, they would. So Delta was like 32. I think we bought it maybe like 28 or $30, but it dropped down to 18. And then it went back up to 40. So we sold it at that particular point in time. So it was like a
Wait, wait, wait,
yo-yo. Um,
wait.
so yeah,
So you bought at
uh,
18 and it went up to
no,
40.
bought it at close to 30, 32, and it dropped. And I
Okay.
think we sold it, I think as high as 40. It might have been between 36 and 40. I can't remember what it was. But we were waiting for it to come back up because I was like, it's going to come back up eventually. But what it did was, it was enough for me to practice what I was doing in the market, kind of understanding it, and then coming up with a little strategy at what I wanted to do and how I wanted to go forward, and just playing with some money in the market. And it's this little funny story. Um, we ended up, and I think I told you this, about this bishop earlier. Literally during Christmas, I invested maybe $500-600. Ended up making $2,000 off my investment. That's how we paid for Christmas. But just literally coming up with strategy, hearing from God. Literally, I spent a lot of time in prayer during that time. So hearing from God and figuring out what just really made sense, what felt right in my spirit, and did my, on the other side, you had to do your due diligence from stock when you purchase stock, but everything worked out okay, and we were successful at that particular point in time.
So you open up an account at an investment, is that banker investment uh, firm?
So Shaw Schwab is where we opened up our account at.
Hmm.
And I know he'll kill me. My nephew made a lot of money off of he understood how to do what was the bet what was that, the block, not blockchain,
Bitcoin,
the
stuff
video
like
game.
that.
Yeah, he made a bunch of money on Bitcoin
Yeah.
and video game company. Gosh, I can't remember the name of it.
Oh,
But
yes, it was. I remember that video
it's
company.
the
They
one
made
that,
tons of money. Uh-huh.
yeah,
Well,
yeah, they
let
made
me
tons.
go to something you said that's critical, and I want you to speak on this. As Brother Sylvester is telling you what he's done, you need to know his success. And one critical thing he said, I think he said it twice, maybe three times, listening to God. And I want
Right.
you to talk about how you listened to the Lord and bring them up to date as you were taking
Right.
these. There it is. Sister Teresa says it was GameStop, but as you listen to the Lord and what He did for you and your stability in your current place of employment. So let's talk about how you went through that situation, trusting God, and God planted you with what I think is an awesome blessing. Just share that with them for a moment, okay?
So, so during like it started last toward the end of July. Um, and I got to thank my wife because she put up with me getting up at 2 o'clock in the morning. Every morning around 2 o'clock, God was waking me up. I was praying about everything, and God woke me up, and I stayed up from 2 close to 5, praise and worship, praying, and fasting, doing whatever he told me to do. And because really, I had gotten to a point where I was like, well, God, everything's in your word, and I'm gonna lean on your word, and because I did it to a certain extent, but I said I'm gonna be all sold out because it's time, and I want to see your blessing. If you said there's gonna be greater things that we're gonna do, then I want to see the greater things. And so I would every night I was praying, and it's because God woke me up at the same time every night. And I remember dragging through the day, and I was so tired during those days. But then God spoke to me one day, and He was like, "Hey, I think I was walking outside around the house or something like that, and God said, "Hey, I need you to clean out your basement. I need you to get rid of all the stuff in the basement because what's about to happen to you, you're not gonna have time to do anything else. I mean, your time is gonna be it's just gonna be packed." And I said, "Oh yeah, right." One of the things I did was I didn't do it right away, and then it hit me. I've got to move or do what God told me to do before anything happens. And so if I move, God moves. And so clean out the basement. Next thing I know, I'm opening my email and get this, from the recruiter saying, "Hey, um, are you interested in interviewing for the Denver airport job?" Um, it was a he was calling me about the deputy CFO, but I thought he was talking about the CFO position. And
Okay, wait a minute, Brother
uh,
Sylvester. There's something I want to make clear to folk here. And again, I want you to watch that microphone. It's still tapping on something. Uh, is that
okay,
yeah? It
okay,
maybe
I'm
it's you
sorry, I don't know.
moving the desk that it's picking up more of the desk that it's on. Um, and
Okay,
if it's lavalier, put it on your chest. It's okay. I mean, you can do
okay,
that. I wear lavalier all the time. So, but look, um, you were were you employed at this time?
Yeah, well, I had an excellent opportunity because um, I had a lot of relationships with different airports, and so I
Now
started
that
my own
came.
company.
Oh, wait a minute. You had a
Yeah,
relationship with a lot of different airports because you worked at the
I did.
Birmingham airport.
Yeah, but by working at the Birmingham airport, I knew a lot of airports around, and I had a good reputation in the airport industry. And
Hmm.
so I ended up getting a contract with. It, I get it took a while for me to get my marketing up, and but I started a contract. I had a contract with Columbus Airport Authority. They had just gotten rid of their CFO, and they needed some help, and they needed help bad. And so they was like, "We'll pay you. We'll do anything you want us to do." And I was like, "This is right in my alley. God, you're so good." Um, but so we ended up doing that, and during that time,
Wait a minute, bro. Wait,
um,
wait, wait. I'm first of all, hold on, because you got to help me so I can help them, and because I'm not tracking. You worked as an employee at the Birmingham
mhm.
airport, right? Then you left that job
Yeah.
and you started a business.
Well, I left there. I had an excellent opportunity with this. It was a small marketing company, a nice marketing company here in Birmingham, and left there and started a business during the pandemic.
You okay? Wait a minute. I need to get this clear. You
Yeah.
started a business. Is that right?
Yep. 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 During the pandemic.
Okay.
Yep.
Now, what kind of
So I was
business
doing
was it?
stuff, but the revenue wasn't flowing like it was supposed to flow initially because some of the contracts got pushed back. And
Wait a
so,
minute, Brother Sylvester. I want to understand your business. There are people out there that would like to start a business. You were employed, and then you left your
mhm.
employ and you started a business, as I'm picking up, based around what you did when you were employed. Is that correct?
Okay. So you just went out. You just
Okay,
went
look,
out of me.
you were employed with you were employed. Can you hear me now? With the Birmingham Airport
Yep.
Authority. And
Mhm.
then you left that and you started a business based around what you used to be employed doing, correct?
Well, I went to work for a marketing firm, and then I left there and started a business around what I did in the airport industry because I had so
Okay,
many
so that
connections.
okay, that's the point I want to make.
And so because
You
people would call me for advice, I'm like, I'm giving away free advice. I might as well go ahead and start a company. And
and
so,
you started a company.
so we
I didn't know
began.
about that.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
now
So we started the company.
I want others to hear that, Brother Sylvester, that as an
Yeah,
employee, you develop relationships with people in the airline industry, or
yeah,
and then
yeah, yeah,
when you left the employ, you went out and you said you went to a marketing company, which is fine. But beyond that,
yeah,
you took the knowledge that you learned on your job and you started your own business, correct?
yep, yep, yep. And so initially, it started off as we were going to do airport marketing, and so I got two partners. So we started an airport marketing company. But then it developed so much because people kept asking me financial questions. I said, well, man, I might as well go ahead and just do this, start answering questions and help people out. So I was, answering questions. It developed a lot slower than we anticipated, but then it started picking up. It started building
Mhm.
steam, and that's right you know, when we got the call from Denver Airport. So, yeah.
And Denver called. Now, people may not understand, but Denver is one of the nation's largest airports, correct?
Denver is the third largest airport in the nation right
You
now.
so you so laid back. I'd say it's one of the largest in the nation, and you just calmly say, "Well, it's the third," and it's one of the largest in the nation, bro.
It's one.
And now,
So,
so the
so
idea,
they're the only airport, and see, this is how I knew God. This is where I wanted me to be. They were one of the only airports that was still consistently flying people in and out of Denver, and they never really lost a beat. They lost passengers, but they were still making revenue, so they never
Mm.
lost a beat. So they, I mean, that's they were they're so financially strong that they had reserves and they had, relationships with the airlines that really, they didn't miss a beat. And so it's just a testament. I mean, it's just the airport, the great people. The director is great. I mean, it's amazing. It'll blow you away, Bishop.
I know, but I look. I know Denver. I've been there. And I know a little bit about some things, but so it's the third largest in the nation. That's what you just
Right
said. I
now,
need you to right now it is. But the point is, I said it's one of the largest, and you're going to tell me, well, it's the third. Dude. And now they called you used to do financial work with Birmingham. What are you going to be doing with? And what I want everybody to know is that this man has been following the word of God basically all his life, and we're going to hear more about it. But I want you to hear of how blessed he is. They called you. You were thinking they wanted you to do what role, and what role did you wind up with? See, I've been reading about you in the paper, bro.
so they initially, I was interviewing for the deputy CFO position,
For the
but
deputy,
see,
what?
yeah, for the deputy CFO. So that's one step below my position. So it's
That's
like my deputy. Yeah, my deputy
Well,
now.
the CFO is the chief financial
Yeah,
officer. The deputy would be the person underneath that. So that's what you were looking to
right.
get to be the second man in charge. Okay. Okay. Keep going.
And so, but that's the one I interviewed for. And then, so it was taking time, So the process started in late October, early November, and it was in time. And God had already told me, He was like, "Hey, you leave." And as soon as God told me that to clean out the garage, I started cleaning out the basement. And then I told you I got the info recruiter, and I said, okay, well, I think this is what God's telling me to do. I went and told my wife that, and she was like, praise God, let's do it.
Did you have a job at
So
that
we,
point when you, Sylvester? Pay attention now, cause I got to
so,
check you out. Wait, did you have a job when you started cleaning out the basement?
so I was working with my company. So we had already set up the company at that particular point in time. Yeah. So, yep.
Yeah, but
So,
Sylvester,
so we were
listen. Wait a
prospecting.
minute, Sylvester. Hold on. Did you have the job in Denver when he told you to clean out the basement?
So during that time, we had set up our company, and so we were prospecting. So we didn't have any advertising clients. I was still receiving calls from everywhere to help with their financial situation. So we were getting calls. So um, and so then we ended up an interview came. I got a chance to meet the mayor, and great guy, great
In Denver?
organization.
You met the
Yep,
mayor of
yeah, we
Denver.
all this, yeah, all this was Zoom. It was Zoom. Great guy. Um, he knows the mayor here, so he's both both of them are friends. So great guy. And so everything I have, you know, when we talk about desires of heart, let me go back because I'm gonna back up because
Yep.
everybody needs to understand. Stuff like this doesn't happen overnight, and so I want everybody to realize one of the things that happened to me a long time ago, not a long time ago, but within this last past year, is me understanding number one the um, the purpose of the covenant because that's important for me. That's one of the bases, and Bishop talked on this a while. But let me talk about that for a minute because that was so and then me and my wife did a one-off study on that one also. And once I understood it and it got ingrained in me, then it changed the way I thought about myself and the way I thought God had saw me. Because sometimes you feel like you're not deserving or that you're not going to get to where you got to go. But once you understand how God feels about you, then you can begin to move to your destiny. So Genesis 12, 2, excuse me. I will make you into a great nation and I will bless you. And I will make your name great, and you'll be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, curse those who curse you, and all the people on the earth will be blessed through you. And then it goes on in Galatians 26 to talk about how we're grafted in. And once that got a hold of me of understanding that I'm grafted in the same covenant that God gave to Abraham, he gave to me also. And from there, I knew I wasn't worried about anything else. It was just, I knew that God was going to bless me like he did Abraham, because that's his promise. And I stood on it. And, but one of the things, and this is one of the things I have in my notes, is during that particular time when I was telling you, kind of getting up at 2 o'clock in the morning, God told me to eliminate any bitterness I had in my heart. I hit the microphone again, but eliminate any bitterness I had in my heart and remove all the mental clutter. So there was a bunch going on TV. There was a bunch going on in the news. There was, but I had to cut all that stuff out and focus on God and Him alone. And any bitterness I had in my heart toward anybody, because I was holding bitterness toward, family members. I was holding bitterness toward a lot of people. But one of the things that happened after I got rid of the bitterness, I eliminated the clutter. Then there's stuff even to this day, and I was telling my wife this last week. I hear so clearly from God on stuff that's about to happen, and I'll go to my wife and say, this happened and this happened, and she's like, yeah, you said that was going to happen last week, and I said, because the Spirit speaking to me, but but that's one of the things is the relationship you have with God, hearing, doing, and I've lived in Atlanta, I lived in um, Tuscaloosa, about the only other place I lived in Birmingham. For me to make a move to Denver, I knew it was God. But when I got there, the place, the desire of my heart, God made available a place that was the exact place I wanted to be at, to live in for me and my family, for us to live in. It was close to wherever we wanted it to be. Just everything just fell into place. And there was things in my heart that God had pulled out of my heart and was like, hey, I just did that for you. And I'm like, I never knew I would like certain things, but God, I knew I would like certain things. Let me reverse that. I knew I liked certain things, but I never really told anybody, what I like. And God made that available to me once I moved to Denver. Um, so we're in transition now. And one of the blessings is that, we're going to transition to work in July, August. So I get to work 1 day a week, and we're going to phase into 2 day a week. And then we're going to do hybrid schedule. And so, that's the beautiful thing about this whole deal, is that God's given me time to move and to get prepared to go to the next place he desires me to go to. And God has told me certain things about the place too, which is great things, because they continue to grow and grow and grow. It is, it's ridiculous. They are so blessed. The blessing is, that's the airport that has blessing upon it, because they're getting flights, and they're doing stuff that other airports are not doing.
Now, Sylvester, what I really, what I'm trying to, it's clear when you start talking about the first thing you said up there about understanding covenant rights. Um, so even though everybody else is going through COVID, was there any measure of fear as to when you were no longer with Birmingham and you're going out on your business?
So,
Did, mhm.
it's funny you should mention, because when I started my contract at Columbus, they were like, "You're calm and peaceful. Everything about you is peace," and that was the peace of God that resided on me. Never once was I in fear. I never worried about anything. But there was just like, "Hey, you're just in peace. You're in peace. You're at peace." And so, you know, um, great relationship with them. And you know, the other thing I want to tell that is too, Bishop, while we're here, is it's so important, and you used to always say this, and it's so important to do this. It's so important to spend time with God, but then just be quiet and listen. And because He speaks to us all different ways. You know, He speaks to my wife in a different way than He speaks to me. But the key is listening and doing. And so a lot of people, they listen one time, and this brings back to my remembrance when I first started into counseling people how to get out of debt. Is this lady came to me and she was like, "Well, I make $1,500 a month. My rent is $900. My car is $500. I don't have enough to live on." And I said, "Well," I was smiling. I was like, "This is simple." And she says, "What do you mean simple?" I said, "You either get rid of the house or you get rid of the car. You choose which one." And she looked at me and she said, "No, I can't do it." And what she meant to say, what she was saying was, "I will not do it." And that is the difference between hearing from God and doing, and hearing God and saying, because I felt like God was speaking through me that day to speak to this lady, but it's receiving it and being open and receiving. Because a lot of times when God speaks, it's not going to be all rosy. The things that He's not going to, things He'll tell you to do is not going to be rosy. You know, when we initially started and we were trying to, our major purpose when me and my wife first got married was to get out of debt. And I think we gave a testimony one time. We got rid of $80,000 to $100,000 worth of debt, and that was getting rid of the cars, the car note, the BMW, all the stuff we had. Was very painful, by the way, but all that stuff we got rid of to come in line, to be lean, and to get and to get to where God needed us to be. And so I said all that to say, just hear from God, doing it, and then God tells you what to do, and you do it, and you go to the next level. And it's always learning experience. It's being able to hear and do it. And it ain't comfortable all the time to do what God told you to do. So, but one of the things I want to tell your audience while we got a moment is the things we should be doing right now is assessing our financial condition, our economic conditions. Right now is a good time to do it. And if you ever been in one of my classes or you ever heard me talk, I always talk about strategic life plan. And if you've got one, then pull it out, dust it off, and it's time to revise it. And if you don't have one, you can find one. I mean, it's easy to find one. Email me, and we'll get you one. But it's time to sit down with your spouse. You know, some people are doing well during this COVID environment. Some people are working. I mean, you know, if you're building a house right now, you're working. You know, you're a construction worker, plumbers. You know, Denver is a shortage of plumbers in Denver. You can't find them nowhere. So, but if you look at time for a person to sit down, dust off their strategic plan, what they want to do in the next 1 to 5 years, what they want to be, and then look at the challenges that you might have. You know, what are some of the challenges? You know, or this is the whole deal about removing the mental clutter. Are you around people that are not given to your purpose? Are you around negative people all the time? Because they will hinder you. So you got to get rid of that environment, get rid of those people, whatever you're watching on TV. It might be a TV show about broke people. You got to get rid of all this stuff.
About broke people.
But
Mm-hmm.
broke people, because sometimes, that stuff will get into our spirit, and you're just watching it, and you're just like, okay, you're watching couples argue on TV all the time, and that stuff gets in your spirit. Next thing you know, you're arguing with your wife. It might be an innocent TV show or whatever, but one of the things that we did was we got rid of the negative stuff. Now, I used to always listen to just positive stuff like Warren Buffett. Go out to YouTube, listen to Warren Buffett, listen to the Koch brothers, listen to Bill Gates, and they're talking about strategies on how they ran their companies. But I would replace those things, that mental clutter that kept me, or that always told me I was going to be broke, with things that told me I can be successful. So I would do that, and then I would have my scriptures. Like I have several different scriptures, that we go by, and Second Chronicles 10 um, uh, is one that Bishop used to talk about all the time. And, it's about Jehoshaphat and how he pled the Lord and things he did, and how God blessed Jehoshaphat at that particular point in time. And so, but having those scriptures in place, having those things you can lean on when the time is rough, and creating a strategic life plan. And people talk about, they don't need an emergency fund or whatever. And these are basics. I call it the basics, Bishop. The basics is emergency fund and that snowball method, because that'll make anybody successful in what they do in their financial plan. But and the reason why,
Now,
go ahead.
Sebastian, I have to come back to a few things. See, I know what the Lord has done for you. And to everybody out there, this man is so humble. He's not blowing that horn. You ain't blowing it loud enough, man.
Bishop, they got to get the book. They got to get the book. I got to say,
What book?
the
What book,
book. They
Sebastian?
got to get the book.
What book, Sebastian? Which one you
The
talking
book.
about?
Hang on one second. They got to
Okay.
get the book. My book. I'm
I
talking
don't know about your book. What book?
No, I'm being silly, Bishop. But
All right.
but
But
they got
look here, bro.
yeah. Can you hear me now?
I'm gonna put you on the spot, Sebastian. Now look here.
Okay. No, don't put me on.
I gotta let everybody know you, Sylvester.
There's some things that we'll talk about later, and because I want to bless people at different times. So there's gonna be a
Sylvester,
time. There's gonna
look,
be a time to talk about the blessing, but the other thing we just really need to give, because we only limited the time, Bishop. But
yeah, y'all. The man trying to tell me shut up, don't tell you everything I know about. Can I go? Can I just talk about what the world know about? A prophet is not without honor, except in his own hometown, and the media has blasted you all over the place, Sylvester. And can I at least show them maybe what they think of you in Denver? Can I put
well,
up
you know what?
the Denver Gazette and what they said about you? Can I show them that, man? These people don't know. You sitting up over here talking about how the Lord has blessed you, and they don't know how blessed you are.
But Bishop, God, this is one of the things that when you're blessed by God, you don't have to brag. It's just the blessing.
You ain't bragging.
You
I'm bragging. Look,
Yeah,
look, y'all. Listen. Y'all, the
But
man, he was in a position. Now, look, I'm gonna tell you, he said he went out and started his business, getting out there talking to folks. What y'all ain't heard is that he goes to be the CFO of the Denver International Airport. He wasn't even looking to get to that position. God gave that to him. He favored him with it, and they're over there talking about him in Denver. This man sitting right here, sitting among your congregation, you wouldn't know nothing about it, but he's also trying to tell you, and I'm telling you, like it is, where I know what I know about the word of God. He knows.
let me
Sylvester
say this
knows.
too. There was other opportunities that, and God must have wanted me out of him for some reason, but there was other opportunities in the past that
You said that must be the
me
one
and my
God
wife.
wanted you to have. See, you're saying things
So
that they need to hear. You were told to get ready, and you didn't get ready. And because you didn't get ready, all of a sudden stuff happened. And then when you started doing it, God started doing more for you. Okay. And then you're telling me, now, Sylvester, I got to tell you more. You told me that when somebody said like they were making $200 a month, and they were spending out like what, 1,400 a month, something along that amount. And you told me it was easy. Go sell your house, go sell your car, because they want to have all that stuff. That ain't no way that you're gonna make yourself make it. If your outgo is more than your income, that's all he's saying. He had to use wisdom. See, it's wisdom that a house is built, and it's filled. Now you finish that. We're filled with good stuff.
Good stuff. But you know, it's simple math, Bishop. It's really, to be honest with you, and I learned this at a very young age. It's just really not learning, living beyond your means. And, you know, I used to see, like, I would go to, you know, when we were on 60 Robot, not 60 Robot Drive, but we were off of Kimberly Avenue. Literally, and Mr. Bray's gonna kill me. Literally, Miss Bray had a car for a long time. I mean, she could have picked another car, but
I remember.
when I learned, hey, you don't need a car every year. And you know, in the same way with Lyria Jordan, Angela Brown, you know, like, just by watching their lifestyle, your lifestyle, you know, taught me just the basics of money because I didn't know how to deal with money. You know, for me, it was I got to get the car, you know, I do this, I got to do this, but just sometimes the simplest lessons in how to do your budgeting you know, is just really asking successful people who have been successful in life. And that's one of the things I'm talking about, the key, because everybody, you know, when you pick up a Dave Ramsey book, everybody doesn't want to do Dave Ramsey, but the budgets, when you do a budget, it's all the same. You know, we're doing a budget now at the Denver airport. I did one at the Birmingham airport. I finished one up for Columbus. I did one everywhere I went. And guess what? All of it's the same. They use different methods, different techniques, but all of it's the same. It's we got to spend less money than we bring in at the end of the day, and it's just like Bishop said. So you know, one of the challenges in the homework is people need to just find a budget model. You know, Dave Ramsey has the best budget model. I can't even recreate something that somebody else did so efficiently. The zero-based budget. He has that model, and it's free on his website. And people go out there and get that and just start with that. Um, they'll be successful. Like I said, the three things, well, the two things I said, but I'm adding this third thing is the budget, and then we're talking about the debt snowball method, and I forgot the third thing. It slipped my mind just that quick, but it'll come to me in a second. But just the base, the emergency fund. It's so important to have an emergency fund, especially, and people should realize that during COVID, it was the prime time to have an emergency fund. So, and there's gonna be another time when we're gonna need it again. We never thought 9/11 would happen again, where everything shut down.
Hmm.
Um, we you know, we used to talk about an airport industry. There's gonna be another 9/11, but we never knew what it was gonna be. It ended up being COVID. COVID shut the airport industry down. There's gonna be another COVID, but in a different way. It's not the COVID virus, but there's gonna be something that shut down the economy. It's always so you always want to be prepared. Um, you know, an emergency fund is going to have people prepared to do things that they need to do. Um, kind of going forward. So,
Sylvester, okay. I'll put you on the spot this way. Um, your family, your wife, and all, because and you know from whence all your blessings flow, and you know how that's coming from. How would you then, as head of a house, encourage? Now, I know I'm putting you on the spot here. How a family should be as far as worship. Look, y'all, the man is a blessed man, a God. Um, I mean, I'm very blessed to have him part of the congregation. He's going over there to Denver, and he's going to be over there. And I'm talking a big deal about it, but he don't consider it a big deal. But the third largest airport, and he's got to handle all the financial stuff that goes on at the third largest airport in this nation. Look at the big bucks he's going to be moving around, and they trust him to do that. Now, he was not always in that position, but tell them how you feel. Give give God the glory of where you think how the Lord positioned you for it. I'll just let because when he speaks, he'll give you some basic information, but he's going to also tell you why it's important. I'm gonna let you have
so
the
let me
next few minutes to go on, and I'll try not to make you give God the glory by sounding trumpets and everything, because you so reserved, you soft spoken.
so now you know, so I'll be honest with you. When you got a wife, a great wife like I got,
Hmm.
when you got a family that rooted, you got mentors that um, that look out for you. Um, you know, those are things that are amazing because it's been plenty of time. I spent a lot of time this past year on a lot of my mentors. I'm not going to embarrass them by saying their names, um, you know, it's amazing. Um, you know, and it became tremendous prep partners too. You, see, I keep going back to God because only God can do what's been done. You know what's been done. So um, amazing. I mean, that's all I can say, Bishop. You know, it's
Yeah,
amazing, great.
you soft pedal that amazing. That's with a capital,
Um,
amazing. Every capital letter, amazing. Okay.
so you know, to put it into perspective for people, you know, Birmingham Airport flows maybe 4 million passengers come in and out of Birmingham Airport. So we're projecting over the next couple of years, we're going to end up being 100 million, 100,000, 100 million, excuse me, 100,000.
What what's gonna be 100,000?
100,000 flowing through Denver Airport.
Now I'm
Once
looking
we
here. I
get that,
told you I got Sylvester. Look here. I can put this online. It don't say 100,000. It say your budget is an annual revenues of 900 million. Now
right,
that's what the paper said. Now is that okay? And you saying hundreds of thousands? You conservative.
yeah,
Just
yeah.
900 million is a long way from a few 100,000.
So I joke with people. I say you just add a couple of zeros on to what I was doing in the past, and you
You
know,
ain't right.
but no, but you know,
Okay.
in the part of that, Bishop, is they okay. So number one, I'm the first black CFO that's ever been at Denver Airport.
The first
Number
black
two,
I'm gonna repeat it. And let me just make sure I got it so I can see it loud. So the first black CFO ever been in the Denver airport. Mhm. And coming from Birmingham, Alabama. Coming from a little bitty old church called the Guiding Light Church. Keep going. Now next, let me hear the next part.
and then you got I mean, just great balls. They surround you with just people. I mean, it's amazing. They surround you with such great people, and so I mean, God put you in a position. I mean, it's just like okay, all the resources are there. You know, you don't have to struggle. I mean, it's just amazing. I mean, you know, it goes. It's like you know, Deuteronomy 28, I think, or Deuteronomy 11:28, where it's talking about He's going to put you in places where gardens that you didn't plant, you know. But
Mhm.
it's just amazing. Like, you know, it's just a blessing of God to be where I'm at. So,
I just don't get. I mean, you're just so reserved about this. When my wife and I don't know if I brought it to her. We found this out. We were just one way we were ecstatic, and then I got to thinking. I said, "Oh no, he gonna be gone from the church." You know, he'll be over there in Denver. But you know, you got our hearts, Brother
but
Sylvester. And I wish you got to look, people. He's got so much that he can share. He's a very humble man, and he's got so much he can share with you. Sylvester, how can they? Are you doing anything for people personally anymore? Are you now? Are you overwhelmed with the business of stuff? Because I know you used to do personal finance for others. Do you still do that?
I don't do that for others. But if it's like a quick question, you know, somebody want to reach out to me, they can. But something complex or it's going to take a lot of time. I mean, you know, so you know, right now I'm drinking water through a fire hose, so it's kind of tough
See, see,
to
did
have
you hear him? He's
you know,
drinking water through a fire hose. Y'all, that means he got a lot of stuff coming at him, and he's just taking it real nice and calm. Um, people, summarize it, Sylvester. How you feel like? How did the Lord? Why did the Lord just do this for you? Give it a few concluding remarks to the people. I know you give God the glory, but I want them to hear it from you.
I'll put you this when you do. And you know, I haven't done everything God told me to do, but when you do everything that
Come on
God told
closer
you
to
to
the
do,
mic. You said what?
when you do everything that God told you to do, when you tithe, when you give him glory, you praise, you spend time with him, you talk to him, he'll answer you. And I set up to put, he said, test me in this and see if I want room to pour out a blessing. And I always, if I was going to go back to work, I laid out a number, and God gave me that number that I laid out, and I was like, okay, that's
Uh-uh.
how I really
You running over that. Stop. You laid out a number. Tell me what you mean by that.
yeah. I said, and then it was part of my faith confession, you know, so it's part of my faith confession that this is how much I believe for increase, and whatever I said, I mean, I wasn't generous about the increase. I was like, this is what it's gonna be, and God met the increase, and I was like, okay, that's cool.
You saying what you
But
wrote down, you asked God for, he gave it to you.
yeah, yeah,
See,
I
okay.
mean, the increase, yeah.
He
And
gave you the
so
increase.
he gave me the increase that I asked for. And so, and I wasn't, just like soft about it. I was very aggressive about for it. And when they called me and asked me was I wasn't willing to come, and I told them, that was one of the things that, you know, I didn't even have to negotiate. It was just like, okay, here it is. I was like, oh, okay, that part done. But they don't negotiate anyway because everybody's, they've got a salary scale there. Um, it was just kind of amazing, some of the things that God put into place to make this thing work.
So in summary,
Just
Brother Sylvester, you are saying that your obedience to the Lord, and I know
right.
you know the word, you're giving, I heard you say something under your tongue and there very softly. When I'm talking about how blessed you are, and you said something, well, it's not all that. I'm just, I'm not all that. I'm just, and just that
I just,
humility.
I so just let I've learned to let God move, and to let Him do what He do, and and that's just it. Just I'll just sit back and just be in awe of His movement.
Well, what I'm hearing, Sylvester, as a pastor and as your pastor, it does please me that here is a man and an example for me. I've always preached the word. You have applied the word. I've heard you in your teaching when you have conducted classes. You offered for the congregation, for those who would listen. You offered yourself to serve in the Dave Ramsey classes to help people understand about finances. You did that. You didn't ask for anything. You came forward saying, I'd like to do this. And I let you go ahead and do those things. You have blessed people. And as you said, remembering the covenant, he said, I'll bless you and you'll be a blessing. And you've given back to others. So I don't mind speaking in terms of you, that I know you as a man of God. I know you as a man who's a family man, who loves his wife, who loves his children. You have brought them into the church. You have not hesitated throughout all of the things that they have been. I've never heard a mumbling word come from you. You have always exalted God. You're a man that well deserves the promotion that God is giving you. And even at this, as it was with so many different men of God who are humble, God exalt them. As he said, you resist the devil, submit unto the Lord, and he'll exalt you in due time. And I see you having been exalted. And like I said, my wife and I have rejoiced over what has happened. And we know this is not the end of it for you, Sylvester, that with the attitude that you have, Denver may be another stepping stone to something else. And we never know whatever the Lord's going to do with you. But I do know this one thing from what I've seen of you: whatever the Lord decides to do, you will be obedient to do what God says. And my prayers, my wife's prayers, I'm sure with many of this congregation, are going to be with you, that you will continue to listen to his voice. Remember the covenant child that you are as a child of God, and you will excel in all that God has placed before you to do. You're a blessing to me to see all of this. You said maybe I blessed you with the word, but you have blessed me with your success to see it happen right before our eyes. And we have seen the work of the Lord. And as the scripture says, it's marvelous in our eyes. I thank you so much for, and I just have to, I'm trying to pull stuff out of you, and you just so laid back. But I guess you can't change after all these years you've been on earth. You've been the same way you are. And Bishop, what you expect from me? I'm supposed to do? You know I don't yell. You know I'm not a preacher. But man, I just rejoice because you are blessed. Your wife, your kids, and they honor God. It's a wonderful thing to see. You got anything you want to say before I close this down to this? To the people. Just I'm gonna
I
put
just
you
want
right on the spot, let you say whatever just look them right there in that camera and tell them whatever it is like you're teaching your class. Go ahead.
you know, I spend a lot of time, and especially when I talk for the church, a lot of time on the Word of God, because that is the utmost key to doing anything or for God to move in your life. And I just encourage everybody, definitely get your scriptures together. Start planning out. You might put a strategic life plan together, but God has a whole totally different thing, and it's going to be changing all the time, especially when you start hearing from God. Um, and if you're not in the practice of doing it, just sometimes it's when you first start, you don't know if it's God speaking to you or not, and that's okay. Sometimes you're gonna think it's God, you hear from God, and it's not. But the more time you time with God, the more He'll reveal, and the more He'll drop stuff in your spirit and take you to the next level. Um, but I do encourage everybody, take advantage during this time. And I failed to mention this earlier while we're closing. Right now, if you go look for a job right now, a lot of companies are putting their job descriptions location neutral, which means live in Birmingham and work in New York. Now is a good opportunity to start looking for those type of opportunities. The door is open, you know, um, and if you think it's not, then examine what's going on in your life and what's around you, and remove those things that's allowing you to think it's not, because God's in control. And with that, like I said, remember the three foundations: emergency fund, debt snowball, zero base budget. You can never go wrong. You're always going to be successful with that, even in good times and lean times. I remember when one of my mentors from a long time ago, Robert Katz, came to World 60 World Drive. Then some lean years coming, so you might want to save up for the lean years. End up having about 20, 30 years later, but not 30 years, but end up having about 20 years later, but it came, but which gave us a lot of time to start putting funds away for lean times. So I just want to encourage everybody, be blessed, and seek God. And that's all, Bishop.
Well, all right, Sylvester. I'm thankful that you came on, and um, I just pray that everybody, while you are here, before you make that the journey, when you all see him around, um, get a chance to talk to him, glean from some of the wisdom that he has. Like I said, he grew up in the church, and I do know that he's heard the word of God, and to honor God, to be obedient, always means blessings, and it means blessings, as Sylvester said clearly there, that he didn't see himself exceptional. He just did what God said to do. I encourage every one of you, just do what God tells you to do, but make sure you're listening to him. Make sure that, first of all, as Sylvester was willing to do, you have denied yourself and you're not exalting self. As you can see, as much as I tried to get him to do something, he wouldn't do it. And that's maybe a key to God's lifting him up to the, in spite of what he says, when I said one of the largest airport authorities, airports in this nation, And he said, well, it's number 3, as if that's nothing. $900 million, and he's trying to say a few 100,000, and with his conservative way of looking at it. But know that, folks. If get to him, talk to him, glean some of the wisdom, ask him to just say, tell me, Bishop thinks you're tremendously blessed, and we haven't seen half of them. You say you're gonna save it for later, Sylvester. So anyway, I thank you for being on program with me tonight. And I just want people to know that you are really gifted in what the Lord has revealed to you, and you can share that to them. Uh, I'm thankful for you, as it is with many of you all out there. I'm gonna let you go, Sylvester, and so y'all get a good look at the man. Here he is, right here. Look him right in the face. Look him in the eyes, right there. See him? That's Brother Sylvester, Deacon Sylvester Lavender. He is the CFO of the Denver Airport, and he has not always been there. And I will say this: he used to be a little kid in the church listening to the Word of God, and God has exalted him now in due time. So, Sylvester, we thank you so much. And to everybody else, now I'll say to you all, look, remember, I'll be with you on Sunday, and I'm just blessed anytime any one of you all get blessed. I rejoice in your blessings too.